Hey everyone, so welcome to a video, and in this video we are going to be talking about something that we're going to be as transparent and honest as we possibly can. And I know that many of you are here because of the story and the testimony of how me and Kevin met and how God led us to each other. But what you don't know is all the other stuff that happened prior to us meeting. And sometimes we can think that somebody has it all figured out because you see the end story, right? But actually, I have to admit, there were many lies that I told myself way before meeting Kevin. But this isn't a testimony of like how me and Kevin managed to get it all together. This is a testimony of God's goodness and how even when we don't get things right, that we make poor quality choices, poor quality decisions, dismiss red signals and things that we should be paying attention to. Our God is greater and he's bigger than us and he's able to work things out. So if you're feeling discouraged by where you're currently at, if you're feeling as though you've missed God somewhere along the lines and that how could he ever work anything out for you now, you're in the right place. So we're about to, as they say, spill the tea and let you in on all of our mistakes.
Yes.
So that hopefully you'll be able to identify some things and realize you're not the only one out here missing it. But know that God is far greater than your mistakes. So we'll start with me. Mistake number one.
Mistake number one.
So for those of you that have seen the video where I shared my testimony, how I met Kevin, right? So I told you that I had received a dream back in 2014. So prior to 2012, I wasn't a born again Christian. And needless to say, my dating life was a hot mess. It was a hot mess for a number of reasons, but we're not even going to talk about the mistakes that I made prior to being born again. We're actually going to talk about the areas that I got it wrong after being a believer, right? And so, as I said, God gave me that dream back in 2014 with regards to some guy coming to my front door with a suitcase and an American accent. And as I said before, that was one of the most real dreams that I have ever had, to the point where if I hadn't have woken up, I would have been convinced that that was truth on truth. It was reality. And the only thing that caused me to realize it wasn't reality was the fact that I woke up, right? And so in that, I was like, okay. So I've shared how God told me, he said, wait, right? And sometimes he says wait, but what does that really even mean? Like, what does wait even mean? Does wait mean that I just sit around and do nothing? Or does wait mean like, I can still continue on dating sites because how else am I supposed to meet this husband of mine, right? So if you didn't know, I was an avid dating site person. I was on dating sites. I was always trying to find somebody, always trying to go out on dates and stuff, and it wasn't successful. So about 2019, right? So 5 years after God gave me the dream, I was still on dating sites trying to find who this husband was. And I remember I went out, I had organized to go out on this date with this one guy, and he had posted a picture, and I was meant to meet him in a coffee shop or something. And so when he turned up in the coffee shop, I realized I'd been lied to, like straight lied to, because the picture and him did not correspond. He did not correspond. Like when I say his stomach came around the corner before he did, I'm not even joking. I was like, dude, that picture you took was 20 years old, what have you. But anyway, so in that I was like, Lord, you know what? I'm tired. I'm done. Like if you don't bring me my husband, I'm totally done, but I am deleting every dating profile. I'm taking my name down. I'm done, right? And it was at that point that I felt like God gave me a scripture. And the scripture is Isaiah 58 verse 11. And it says, and the Lord will guide you continually and satisfy your soul in drought and strengthen your bones, and you shall be like a watered garden, like a spring of water whose waters do not fail, right? And I think in the King James it says whose waters fail not. And I remember reading that and I was like, what does that even mean? Because sometimes you read something, it jumps out at you. This jumped out at me and I was like, Lord, what does that even mean? And I felt like God said to me, he said, Davina, do you believe that I am able to satisfy your soul in drought? And as I read that, I was like, yeah, I believe it, but I don't actually know what that means, right? And so in that, I was like, okay, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I said, you're the one that's able to satisfy my soul in drought. I'm taking myself off dating sites. I'm doing the whole thing. I'm not doing this unless you bring me my husband. It's not going to happen, right? So anyhow, about July, I was able to, I really wanted to go to this conference that was over in America. I really wanted to go for like a number of years, and the opportunity finally allowed me to like go. So when I went to this conference, as you know, I think I've shared before, I was by myself. I wasn't going there looking for anybody. I wasn't expecting anything. I was literally going for the conference because it was somewhere that I really wanted to, like, really wanted to visit. So anyhow, I ended up going to this conference, and it was the day before the last day that I ended up meeting the guy who I thought was potentially going to be my husband prior to meeting Kevin. And the reason why, and there's a number of things, right? These are, and I share all of this because it's like, sometimes there's things that look like they fit together, but you know they don't fit together, but you try and make them fit. So the day before I met the guy in America, I had met some ladies while I was over there. And I remember I was in the canteen with one of them. And she said to me, just out of the blue, just out of random, she says, I see you coming back to this conference or coming back here next year, but you're holding hands with somebody. This is what she said. You're holding hands with somebody, right? And I was like, oh, okay. I don't know what that means, but okay. And then she went on to say the colors that he was wearing, etc. So I was like, okay, that's fine. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, maybe I might meet someone, maybe I won't. The very next day, it was the very next day, I was minding my own business, having lunch in the cafeteria. And then this guy who was sitting behind me came and asked if there was space at my table. He then proceeded to sit at my table, and we then proceeded to talk. Then he started to ask me like, how long was I there for, etc., etc. At which point he then said to me, and you know, I'm not advising this to anybody because there's a level of naivety. I don't know the country. This is the first time I'm there by myself. He says, do you know the area? I said, no, not really. And he said, oh, maybe I can come and give you a tour. He said, when did you go home? I said, I go home on Saturday, I believe it was. He's like, well, the conference finishes tomorrow. Maybe we can like go around. And that's how it started, right? And so in my mind, I was like, wow, I finally gave up the desire to want to fix things on my own. I took my hands off. God gave me a word, and then here comes this guy. She gave me a word telling me that she saw me coming back next year holding hands with this person. I put 2 and 2 together and made 16, right? And then in that, it was just like, oh, so maybe this is the guy. So anyhow, he came, collected me the next day. We went around the area. He showed me everything, and then he dropped me to the airport. That was the end of that. And then I got home, and then I texted him just to let him know that I was home fine. And at which point he was just talking to me, and then he was telling me, you know, he really enjoyed my company, etc., etc. Again, I began to read more into it. So that was nice. That was cute. And then about a couple weeks later, he was like talking about how it would be cool for us to meet up again. He would love to see me again, blah, 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 blah. So we were just regularly talking on the phone and stuff, and we got to talking practically every day. And he was like saying, you know, I'd really like to see you again, etc., etc. Now, I was the kind of person, and it's not like I was trying to do this intentionally. This is just me. I would bring Jesus into everything. And when I tell you everything, every conversation, every thought, he was my best friend. He still is my best friend. And it's like, I would just bring him up in everything. And there was one day when we were just talking. I hadn't gone back to America yet, hadn't booked the tickets yet, hadn't done anything. And we were just talking. And I said something to him like, oh, we should pray about that, or we should invite Jesus into that. And he said to me, and he said this thing to me, and this is a thing where I should have been paying attention and allowed myself to exit stage left, but I didn't. And he said to me simply this. He said, oh, you're one of those Christians. And I remember hearing that. It's like, you're one of those Christians. Like, what does that even mean? And I remember saying it to him because at the time when he said it, it felt like someone had stabbed me in the gut. Like, that's not an understatement. It literally felt like somebody had like stabbed me in the gut. And I was like, one of those Christians, what does that even mean? And so he's like, oh, it's nothing. Oh, it's nothing. And so I was like, oh, okay. But at the same time, I was wounded. I was wounded, and I dismissed it because I was trying to make everything else fit. Now, when it came to me going back, I was like, well, I'm not going to buy the ticket, because if this guy is serious about me coming back to see him, he's going to have to be the one to purchase the ticket. Even though I never vocalized that, this is what I was thinking. Then it was about a couple weeks later, he got a because he did contract work, and then he managed to get this contract work, which gave him a considerable amount of money. At which point he said, I want to buy your ticket for you to come back and see me. So again, I was like, man, this must be it. Like, this must be the guy. Even though on the insides, I was still carrying the weight of what he said to me about, oh, you're one of those Christians. And so I ended up going back there and getting caught up in the romance of the idea of being someone buying me a ticket and me going over there, etc., etc. And, you know, I just want to say out here, like, to anybody listening, no, it wasn't for sex. Just want you to know that. And if you want to know why, go back and watch one of my other videos where I talked about how God taught me how to say no to sex outside of marriage. But anyway, that's another thing altogether. And so I ended up going back, and it was cute and it was nice. And then I ended up going back at Christmas, and it was cute and it was nice. And then we arranged for me to go back in February. Ironically, he never came here, but it was cute and it was okay. But then COVID happened. And this is the thing. I started reading more into what was going on than what was actually there. Because now I started to bring in the scripture that God had told me. He said, I will satisfy your soul in drought. I was like, well, this must be the drought, because I can't travel and he can't travel. So that must mean, oh, this is the drought. But Lord, you said you're going to satisfy my soul in drought. So again, I was making the word fit into a circumstance and a situation that did not work. And it led me on a path that was not fruitful. But I knew it wasn't going to be fruitful from the very beginning. And I can say that honestly now. But it's like, at the time, I was deceiving myself. I was lying to myself. And it led me to a place where I lost my confidence. I felt depleted. I was lost. I lost my voice. I lost my enthusiasm for Jesus. There was a whole bunch of things. And so I'm just sharing this to let you know, like, I didn't get to meet Kevin just like, you know, like it was just this thing that just happened. I went way off. But the goodness of God somehow, some way brought me back. So I really hope that encourages somebody. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good story. That's pretty good. And the thing about it is, the one thing, you know, Davina had like this. She was telling me that she didn't mention she had like this type that she was attracted to, this type of guy, what have you, and you know, this tall, you know, all types of things. And I guess he fit the criteria of the tall guy or whatever it was, and what have you. But just to say that God ain't into what we think our type is. I'm gonna tell you, we really don't know what our type is, because if you look back when Samuel had to go over to Jesse's house and find the king, when the Lord told him, go on over there and get the king, and all these sons that Jesse had were muscular, they were big, they were warriors or what have you, but none of them was the Bill. None of them was going to be king. It was the one that was back in the field having a relationship with God, a real one, talking with God, having fun with God, knowing what God is doing, and that's the one. Just saying, I'm gonna put that out there. Like I'm saying, when we do come to this point where we like, well, this ain't my type or what have you, and when just look at that, look at ourselves and deep inside, say, Lord, you tell me what would you say my type is. You tell me what you want from what you say. So I'm gonna get to how I and what was going on with me on the other end of the spectrum, right? I said it in one of our videos, and we explained about I was married once before, and I'll tell you, I was with my ex-wife for over 30 years, and we was married for 20 years, or what have you, and now our son is like, well, he's 25 now, but it's, you know, when he turned I say about 21 or what have you. That I guess that's that was in 2021, and it was like things was not going good, what have you. So, and I was trying to, I would say, fix something that was not going to be fixed. It was going downhill. It was going downhill, and me, I'm trying to save or what have you. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm not putting anybody down. I'm not saying anything. Anybody was doing anything wrong, but because I was not perfect either. I missed a lot of red flags. I did stuff I shouldn't have did. I probably said things I shouldn't have said, and it's like I remember the Lord was telling me something. He kept giving me those. I kept seeing them. I kept seeing the signs. I kept seeing all of these flags, these red flags. It was just stuff what should not ever been happening. But I ignored them because I felt like I needed to save a marriage that was not going to end up was not going to work out in the end. But I didn't see that. I just saw a forever. I was in it forever. I was in it for the long haul. So when things really started going really, really bad, I tell you, it was times where I was crying at night. I was crying to the Lord at night, like, why is this? Why is this? You know how you can, I was feeling like I was alone most of the time. And I was. So, and I was like, man, this just don't feel right. But when it started getting really, really bad, the Lord was telling me, I remember these words. He was saying to let go. So in the years after COVID, because I was off work for a year where I was working at, and that's when the red flags really started showing up. But I kept ignoring them. I really kept ignoring them because I was trying to keep something going. It got to a point where I got served divorce papers, and I was like, wow, because I should have known it was coming, but I kept ignoring it, like I said. And when I got served, I got served those divorce papers. So I was like, wow, really? I was like, so after that, I was trying to hold on. I was really trying to hold on. And the Lord said, let go. And I tried to make excuses. I said, the Lord didn't tell me to let go of what I was trying to hold on. I was just trying to make it seem like the Lord did not say that whatsoever. I was giving him all these type of words. I was saying all this other stuff, but he said it more than once. He said it more than twice. And I still tried to turn it around, but trust me, he was telling me, he was straight telling me. And then he said this one thing to me when I was crying and I was talking to him. And he said, Kevin, it's not that she don't want you. She don't want me. And right there, I was like, what? I tell you, I wanted the Lord so bad. I just, everything it was just me and him mostly. And I just talked about him all the time. I probably talked people's ears off about Jesus because I loved him so much. And he saved my life, guys. He saved my life. But I couldn't let him, I couldn't choose nobody over him. That's what I'm trying to say. I couldn't do it. I couldn't choose to say I got to stop talking about Jesus all the time and wanting him more in our relationship versus just stop talking about it. I just couldn't. From there, how I was fighting all the way to the end. I fought all the way to the last court date, the last one. I was still trying to hold on when he was telling me let go. He's another thing he said to me before that last day, before those days came. He said, I got something better for you. I was reading my Bible and he just said it. He just said it to me. Like, I got something better for you. He said, let go, because I got something better for you. And I'm like, what? I don't know what's going on. I don't understand. I said, Lord, you don't like divorce. I got wrapped up in I'm telling you, family, I heard it before. And people that came and said, God don't like divorce and you shouldn't get divorced. If you get a divorce, you go in hell, you're fornicating, all this other. Stop it. just stop with that. Just heard, if you heard me, I said that I got served divorce papers. Now, I'm the one that saved. I got served. And I'm like, no, this can't be happening, Lord. Why this happening? And after that, um, I said, all right then, Lord. And to the end, once it was all over, it was said and done, went to the court, everything, divorce is final, stuff like that. I was broken. I was hurt. I was like, wow. I was thinking this. I said, 30 something years of my life, I don't know nothing else. I don't know anything else. This is all I know. And I'm like, I said, all right then. I said, Lord, I said, my heart is broken and I need you to heal my heart. After that, I was on Facebook and I got this I seen this thing on Facebook, this ad on Facebook, right? And it said something about heart healing. I was like, oh wow, I want heart healing. That's nice. I think I mentioned this in the video. Y'all guys can go and watch it. But that's how I ended up meeting Davina. But the Lord said he was going to heal my heart. And then I told him, I said, Lord, I don't want to be alone. I said, Lord, I want a wife. I said, because I believe I'm a husband and I deserve a wife, but I want her to have your heart. And I said, if she has your heart, she knows how to love and she'll know how to love me. You know, out of all of that, we're in this group. Is an entrepreneurship group for kingdom-minded people, kingdom business and things like that. And that's how I met Davina. I met Davina in the group. At the time when I first met her, I was still married, but I was going through the divorce or what have you. I didn't know her. I didn't see her like that, and none of that stuff. I didn't see anybody. I still didn't look at nobody because I really wasn't interested in trying to find nobody. And I wasn't going to go on no date. I seen dating sites and stuff like that. And I was like, that ain't even me. And I was like, I'm going to tell you, I ain't even got no game. And I'm like, I don't even know what to do or what to say. So I went to a large church. I was going to a large church. And I could have met any other woman. I could have dated any woman in the U.S. I could have dated anyone in my state, even anywhere in the United States. I could have went anywhere. But I was not looking for anyone outside the state. I wasn't looking for nobody. I just told the Lord what I wanted. And I didn't go searching. But he sure enough brought Davina to my attention. And it was, I'm telling you, quick time. When I say quick time, it was quick time. And I couldn't believe how quick it was. And I wasn't even looking at that. I just wanted to follow what he was telling me to do. And I just wanted to do that. And all of a sudden, when I said that to him, I don't know, I can't remember how long it was, but I ended up just going back into the group. And the first videos I saw was all of the Davina videos. I just went back into the group because I was part of the prayer team. And I'm always on there so I can, do whatever we do, how we was doing, promoting the prayer and stuff like that. And I just started seeing Davina videos. And I was like, wow, she pretty. Because it's almost like I didn't see her. I just saw this pretty lady. And I was like, wow. But then I looked again. I was like, that's Davina. Because I'm like, that's Davina. I've never seen her like that before. It's almost like when you ask the Lord to show you beauty, because I've done that. I asked him to show me how you see, Lord. Show me how you see. I want to see the beauty and all you see. Man, I tell you, when I got on that thing, I was like, whoa. I said, Davina's pretty. And then I went into a whole prayer mode. I said, Lord, I said, I don't even know what's happening, but Davina is so pretty. I said, I need your permission to talk to your daughter. That's your daughter. I ain't saying nothing to her unless you give me permission. And I said, I'll wait for you to give me permission to talk to her. When I went back, I was like, okay, Lord. I said, okay, Lord, it's been a while. You didn't say no. I went on there and I said, all right, I'm gonna communicate with her. And I just messaged her and I said, hey, Davina, how you doing? I can't remember the exact words or what have you, but I said, I would like to talk to you. And then that's how we just started talking.
Yeah. So hopefully, even through all of this, you can see how intentional God was from the beginning. And like I said, he's bigger than our mistakes. And for anybody out there, on the past videos that we've shared, they were just like, well, would God do that? Would God give you a divorced husband? Would God do that? Here's the thing. He gave me the dream back in 2014. He showed me the American guy with hair on his head coming to my front door with his suitcase. God knows the end from the beginning. Does that mean that he wanted Kevin and his ex-wife, to get divorced? No. But he knew they were going to, because he knew that his ex-wife was going to serve him the papers. And so therefore he knew that his heart was going to be broken. He knew that Kevin was going to ask him and say, I don't want to be alone. He knew that I was desiring a husband who sought after his heart and desired him. And so he gave me that, something to hold on to let me know that he was coming. And he came just as God showed me, to my front door with his suitcase, with his American accent and hair on his head. See, and hair on his head. Praise Jesus. So when people come and you make judgments or you say something, explain the dream. Explain the dream. God's intentional. He's deeply intentional. And so sometimes we may lose what God is doing because we try and make it make sense in our own thinking and our own understanding. But this is a story where it's like, if you take God out of the equation, what are we doing here? He's in the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's in the whole thing. If you're gonna go check out the videos, it's gonna either be here, here, one of those places. Somewhere. Here. I don't know. Here. Just to let you guys know, we have started our Wednesday circle. And if you ain't on it, you should get on it, get in it now. We host our lives at 6 p.m. GMT time on Wednesdays. And right after the live, we go right into the Wednesday circle. And that's where we talk real talk. We get into it, family. We start in our groups. We have our ladies that's in there. And we getting to know who we are in Christ. We are getting our breakthroughs. We are going for what God said about us. And we're going to get our stuff in the name of Jesus.
Peace.
Peace.